I'm going to show you how to make this easy stocking. We're going to do a little straight line quilting on it and also add a cuff and a hanging loop. So you'll need to gather your materials. So you'll need 2 pieces for the front of the stocking. Here we're using the red with the snowflake, and then 2 pieces for the lining, so we're using this tan. And then on the inside of the stocking, to give it a nice body, is this fusible fleece from the Warm Company. This is really handy to use for this project because you just fuse this to the lining and the front of the stocking. You don't need to use pins for basting. You don't need to use a basting stitch. You can just get right to the quilting portion of the project. So now we're going to add some straight line stitching to the front of our stocking. The great thing about the Bernina B70 Quilters Edition is it does come with a seam guide that you can add to any of the feet that have a hole in the back. So you just put the pole into the hole and tighten the screw, and then you can adjust the width here, and this little bar is used to guide along your previous line of stitching so you can get a nice even width between your lines of stitching. You can just tighten it up where you want it, and then we'll do some stitching. So I have marked my first line of stitching, and now I will start to stitch. So now I have my first line of stitching. I'm going to use my guide bar to line up with that and to do my next line, and then I'll just go all the way across this rectangle with these diagonal lines of stitching. So now I've finished quilting both the pieces of my stocking, the front and the back, and we're going to flip this over and use the template and go ahead and trace around that on the right side. So I've already done that. Now we baste around the line of the stocking. Once you've basted that stocking shape, layer your 2 pieces right sides together, and then we're going to use a small stitch length and go all the way around the stocking again. Be sure to leave the top open. Once you're done with that, you're going to cut a scant 1/4 inch from your stitching line. We'll cut out our stocking. Now that we've cut our stocking out, we're going to use a wide short zigzag stitch to enclose these raw edges to keep them from fraying. Next, we're going to make our hanging loop. So take our little hanging loop strip, fold it in half, right sides together, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam along the long edge. When you're done with that, you can turn it right side out and press, and that's going to be our hanging loop. Now we will make the cuff. So we're folding the cuff piece in half with right sides inside, and again a 1/4 inch along the short side. You want to press that seam open and then fold it down. This time you want to have the right sides out when you're folding that. So I have one finished here. Now that you have your loop and your cuff ready, we're going to assemble the stocking. This is a really good time to take the extension table off your machine and use your free arm, so you can really get into the inside of that stocking. So first we will baste the hanging loop onto the back side of our stocking. So it's easiest if you put the whole thing over the free arm and then line that up. And just a nice long stitch length there for your basting stitch. Our final step is to attach the cuff. So we're going to slip it over the stocking with the folded side down and align the seam with the back of the stocking. We're going to line all of those raw edges. And then we'll sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way around to connect the cuff to the stocking. Okay, now you can turn it right side out and our stocking is done. So then you just fold the cuff down over the stocking. I would probably give that a press to make it look really nice and crisp. And there's our little hanging loop and our stocking is done. This stocking is a really fun way to practice your straight line quilting. I think it would also be great to try some free motion designs on it. You could even embroider a name on the cuff. Now you can hang it up and it's ready to be filled.